Hello everyone, good morning. What's up, people? Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the last session of your SQL module, everyone. Today we'll be talking about some miscellaneous things. Not the complete session is definitely not on the Windows function. Windows function is a 15 20 minutes topic, but it's named so. So, what miscellaneous topics we are going to talk about today is we are going to talk about if, we are going to talk about if null, we are going to talk about case, we are going to talk about callsec, callsec, whatever you call it. We are going to talk about views, and then eventually we are going to talk about window functions. That is the agenda for today's session, people. No, Shamu will not be talking about a with. It's a simple thing. Google it, you'll be able to understand with Shamu. We'll be talking about all of these. That comes into window functions, Mahesh. We have already talked about exist me. We have already talked about exist. Check the subqueries class. Check the subqueries class name. We have already talked about exists. Sure. Apart from this, and whatever is not covered, or let's say you think you are covered, some things will be covered in the. Apart from this, whatever is not being covered, or you think it should be covered, something should be covered in the recordings. Apart from that, either it's something which you can learn sequentially, you can go ahead and understand things, the basics, the concepts are clear, because if you want to learn every single aspect of what is uh, the Kajal, don't worry about that, that will be updated today. Again, Neil, look for that. Again, Neil, there are more very very small nuances than if we start talking about each and everything. SQL model will never be over. Okay, so we will get a recording for that. You can check into that recording. Neil, you can go and read about top. It's an easy thing. It's not something which you cannot understand by reading yourself. Okay, it's just a normal function. You can understand it very easily by just going through some document. Because again, as I said in the very first class, also people, if we sit down and cover every single function SQL supports, it's 36 or 40 classes. then we won't be able to cover. No, Atul, we will be adding them by default to your account. Wait for 1 or 2 days, and you'll get them. Okay? Not yet, Rashid. Not yet. Most probably the ops team will be doing it today. Most probably the ops team will be doing it today. Sure, Akash. We'll see it towards the end of the session. Recording Shikha. Shambhu, you always have the WhatsApp and the TA channel available to you. No, contest won't be shifted. Why would the contest would be shifted, Pawan? And if it is going to be, you'll get that information. But I don't think so. Contest will be shifted. There is no reason to shift it. अरे shifted नहीं, timing change होना and shift होने में difference है. Pawan, we can update the timings. That's something different. We can extend the window. For that. You will receive the communication. But it's not that we are shifting it from this weekend to the next weekend. That's not going to happen. Okay, Pawan. Okay, everyone. Let's start today's session. Yes, session on SQL. Then from the Wednesday we'll be starting OOPS and other things. Yes, Gangadhar. Yes. Again, everyone, just to highlight it, whatever we have covered in 11, 12 SQL sessions, everyone, that's more than enough to crack the interview. That's more than enough to be a software developer who understands SQL, who can write queries on SQL, who can think about SQL things, and who can read more advanced stuff about it if you want. Okay? Adhav, no, you'll never be prepared for. I'll never be prepared for about anything if anything gets shifted. Never, Adhav. Like we have been doing this for now approximately 2-3 weeks. It's going to happen on weekend only, Adhav. Maybe a reattempt later on, but I would say attempt it on the weekend. Everybody should attempt it on the weekend. Maybe later on we can bring a reattempt if you are not able to do good. But Atharv, this is not something where you require too much of preparation. You will have some CRUD queries and you will have some schema design MCQs. So I don't think there is a huge amount of preparation required for these things. Okay, Atharv? So it will be done. It will be done tomorrow only, but later on maybe we can launch a reattempt if things not go really well for some of you. Let's start with the very first thing of today's class, people. I have a bit of cold, so might not be as loud as regular. So if you have something, do let me know. Okay. So the very first thing is if null, people. The very first thing we are talking about is if null. Now, what is it? Whatever we are going to discuss today, also, na, everyone, that's not important with respect to the interviews. If you see, that's generally not asked. It's just like something which is good to know stuff. Some stuff which is good to know. Got it? So whatever we are going to do today, it's something which you are like, okay, I know this. That's nice. In SQL, I also know this. That kind of stuff is this. So what is if null, people? Let's suppose you have a students table, and let's say you have badges table for that matter. You have students table and you have badges table. In the students table, you have ID, name. It's a batch ID, something, and let's suppose in the badges table you have ID and name of the batch. We have seen these scenarios multiple times now. Now what I want to do is, for every student, I want to give their batch name. For every student, I want their batch name. Is it solvable, people? Is it solvable, people? Yes or no? Very simple, correct? Very simple. But there's one more thing added, which is, and if the batch name is null, and if the batch name is null or something, if the batch doesn't exist, let's suppose, which can happen, maybe a person who took the refund, maybe a person who joined but went straight away into the course post. If the batch doesn't exist, I don't want to show it null over there. I want to see not available over there. I don't want to see null over there, everyone, in the result. I don't want to see null over there. What I want to see, if the batch doesn't exist, that means if the batch ID is null for the student, then I don't want to see null written on the output. I'm not saying in the table people. I'm saying in the output, I don't want to see null written people. I want to see NA written, not available. Is the problem clear to every single person in the session? Yes. Is the problem clear to every single person? Gayatri, but it would still show you the null. It will actually show you a larger table. Let's suppose if I go with a very general thing, let's say select student dot name, let's say batch dot id from students s join batches on b, join batches on b, and definitely we need to do a left join because something which is null in there, it still should be matching on s dot batch id equals to b dot id. This would be the query if I just wanted the batches, right, people? We're not going with the outer join, Aisha. This is the query if we just wanted the batch, corresponding batches, people. Yes or no? We just wanted for every single thing, we wanted the batches, right? Correct, people? Now, this will give the result in what manner? This will give the result in what manner? Student Mohit has batch ID 1. Student Gayatri has batch ID 3. Student Fahim has batch ID 4. Let's suppose there is a student X who doesn't have a batch. So that will reflect null over there. Correct, people? That will reflect null over there. Yes or no? Yes, Gayatri will come to that only. Also, but later on. Correct. Instead of this null being represented in the output, I want to see NA in the output. Now for that, what we can do, we have a function called if null, people. For that we have a function called if null. So what I can write is if null. So that means it will get the first value which is kind of not null. So it will check first of all the very first value. So if let's say if null, we'll check and see if s dot batch id, let's suppose, if s dot batch id is null, everyone. If s dot batch id is null, I would want to represent it as NA. This is the function. That if this value is going to be null, this will represent this. Otherwise, this will straight away represent this only. Otherwise, this will straight away represent this only. Okay. So if null, it will go to the second parameter. If this value is not null, it will straight away give you the first value only. It will straight away give you the first value only. Otherwise, in the result set, it will give you the second value. Otherwise, in the result set, it will give you the second value. Everybody understanding this? That's it. That is it. If null, people, nothing else. That is it. What it is? What is if null? You pass into the function. If the first value is not null, it will give the first value in the result. Otherwise, it will give the second value in the result. Understood? Otherwise, it will give you the second value. Yeah, for Oracle or for the other databases, you can look for that. What exactly is the function which supports this? You'll get this function in everything. Okay. So for an example, everyone, let's try out in the code editor once quickly. MySQL workbench. I've inserted some emails into this and I've, let's say, written this. So what I've given is select first name, select last name, and if null, if the email is null for anybody, if email is null for any particular customer, you should mention no email available over there. So let's try to run this. Now if you carefully see, everyone, This person was not available. This Elizabeth's Brown email was not available. It was null. So instead of that, we got what? We got no email available, people. Correct? Instead of that, what we got? No email available. And it's not changing the table, people. It's not changing the table. It's just changing your output. It's just changing your output. Everybody clear with this if null? Simple, just a function to help your needs. Nothing else. Just a normal function to help your needs, people. If required. We need join only for batch name. That the question is not about the joins over here. The question is about if null. What happens if I want to do that? But yes, Rishabh. We had to join because you wanted to get batch name from the other table. Yes. Okay. Now let's suppose I want to have a question for every student. Give the batch name. For every student, we need the batch name, people. Definitely the same question. Okay. But if they don't have any batch, people, if let's say batch name is coming out to be null, then you should give first name or something like that. Let's suppose not even that, you need to give the batch name. If the batch name is null, you should give me instead of batch name, you should give me, let's say, father's name. You should give me, let's say, father's name. Let's suppose somebody has not inserted their father's name into the DB. If that also comes out to be null, then you can mention it in. Then you can mention any over there. So it's kind of sequential in nature now. That for every student, I want the batch's name. But if any batch name is null, people, I would want to insert there the father's name of that particular person. But if let's suppose somebody has not put down the father's name also and the value is null over there, then I want to write NA over there. Correct. Nested if null. So how can I write this particular thing, people? Using the if null only, everyone. We'll come to that, Kaval. We'll come to that. But if let's suppose I have to use if null only, then how would I go about it? If I have to use if null only, how would I go about it? Correct, nested if null. So what we will do? We'll write if null. If null, we'll give the very first thing. Let's suppose what we'll give is s dot or b dot batch name. Let's say b dot batch name. If b dot batch name is coming out to be null, I want to give another if null. So if this would come out to be null, this will come over here. So now if null, and then we are checking s dot father's name, let's suppose. If this also comes out to be null, then I have to go over. Understood, people? If this is not null, you'll get the answer directly from here. If this is null, we'll go to the second parameter. In the second parameter, if this is not null, we'll get the answer. But if this is null, we'll come over here. So we can put it in the nested way, people, also. We can put it in the nested way also. Understood? Anybody has any doubt in this, please let me know. Anybody has any doubt in this, please let me know. Is null was just to check if the values are null. If you're talking about is null of MySQL, Aisha, if this is null present in some other database, then might be working like if null. But if you're checking for is null in the thing, Aisha, then it was just checking if the thing is null or not. It was not giving a substitute value for that. If is null is present in Postgres for the same purpose, then you can use that. I'm not aware of that. You can Google it. If that is present in the Postgres for the same use, got it. Next thing is, everyone, if let's suppose, people, it allows you to kind of give the output on basis on some conditions, people. It allows you to give the outputs on the basis of some conditions people. Okay, so for example, let's say you have ID, you have name for a particular employee. Let's suppose there is an employee table. For an employee, you have an ID, you have a name, and let's say you have the performance factor of that employee. You have the performance factor of that particular employee. The performance factor can be from 1 to 5 people. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The performance factor can be from 1 to 5. If the performance factor is 1, we need to say we are firing you. So fired. If let's say performance factor is 2, we need to say needs improvement. If let's say performance factor is 3, we'll say meets expectations. If let's say performance factor is this, we can say exceeds expectations. And if let's say it's 5, then we can say outstanding performance. And if it is not even present, let's suppose it's not even present, somebody has not even have any performance factors, so we can write any. So this is what we wanted in the output result, everyone. We'll come to case, but first of all we'll talk about if. How does it work with if? So this is what we want, everyone. Okay, for different performance factors, we want different values in the result, people. Is that clear? So for every person, give me the name of the person and give me the performance factor, or finally performance evaluator of that. Final performance evaluator of that. If you would have to write the code for this, everyone, let's suppose in C++ or in some other language. If you would have to write the code for this, let's suppose in C++ or other language, do you people agree it would have gone like this? If performance factor equal to 1, do this. Otherwise, if performance factor equal to 2, do this. And so on. Everybody agrees? Everybody, yes, we can also use switch case, which we'll talk about in just 5-10 minutes. Everybody agrees to this? In the similar way, we also have in SQL. I was expecting something else, even though we'll come to that, but I was expecting some people to say, hey Mohit, can't we use a lookup table over here? Because we just completed schema designing the previous class, I was expecting some people to say, hey Mohit, can't we use lookup table over here? But nobody came up with that solution. Can't we use lookup table, people? Like, we'll not be using, I'll let you know why, but can't we use lookup table over here, people? Can't I create a separate lookup table? Yes. Because joins make equals slower, that's one reason, but that's not the reason, Gayatri. If we could have used lookup table, we would use lookup table over here based on our requirements, Gayatri. Correct. The only constraint is we are not allowed to create a lookup table. Let's suppose the DB is not allowing you to create new tables. Not every time you'll be allowed to create new tables. Let's suppose the developer has not created a lookup table and you still want to do this. Then you won't just go and create a table. No? You just won't go and create a table. You might not have the access or the rights to do that. So in that scenario, people, let's say, what will be the syntax of if in SQL, people? It will be if, then will come the condition, people. The condition on what you want to evaluate. Then you have to write what if this condition is true, what to do if this condition is true, and then you have to write what to do if this condition is false. What to do if this condition is false. This is the general syntax of if, people. This is the general syntax of if. If the condition, then value what to do if it is true, then what to do if it is false, everyone. So if I write it for the above case, how it will go like this? It will go like this. Select, I want the student employee name. Along with that, what I want, if your performance factor, let's call it as PF, if your performance factor is equal to 1, again, SQL doesn't have equal to sign. SQL just compare directly by equal. Do you know that? Do you know that? Yes. So if PF is equals to 1, what do we want to do? We want to say you're fired. We want to say you are fired. But if it is not equal to this, people, if it is not equal to do, what do you want to do? We want to straight away stop it, or do we want to go to another if case? Correct, we want to go another if case. So if it is not there, then if comma, let's write it in the next line, then if pf is equal to 2, then you'll come to the if pf is equal to 2 scenario. In that case, what will you say? If that is a scenario, then you need improvement. If that is the scenario, then you need improvement. If that is also not the scenario, then you'll come to another if. If pf is equals to 3, then you'll say, okay, if your performance factor is 3, you meet expectations. Great. Then you meet expectation. But if that is also not the case, you'll come to another if. If pf is equals to 4, then you will say, oh, exceeds expectations. Exceeds expectations. But if that is also not the case, then you'll come to another if. If pf is equals to 5 people, we'll come to that. We'll come to that need. If pf is equals to 5 people, then what will you do? Outstanding performance. Outstanding performance. But what if that is also not the case? Then we can just write finally not available. Then we can just write finally not available. Correct, people? And then we can close all of the brackets which we had. And we can also mention after that, let's suppose I want to name this column as, let's say, performance evaluation. That's it, from the table. Everybody understand? Again, Kaval, I'll repeat. So it's basically just on the basis of this syntax cover. It's basically just imitating this syntax. What it is doing, if this condition is true, go and execute this. Now this need not to be always a constant thing. This can be anything. If this execute, get the result from here. Otherwise, get the result from the next statement. Understanding, cover? If this is true, get the result from here. Otherwise, get the result from the next. When you go and get the result from next, it's already again an if. So again, if this is true, that is your result. Otherwise, get the result from the next. Otherwise, get the result from next thing. Mahesh, check it. I don't know every DB. I don't know everything. Google it, Mahesh. Just Google it. Yeah, in MySQL, this works like that. For a main SQL server, just go and check that. You will definitely find some alternatives if you're not using MySQL. If you will definitely find some alternatives if you're not using MySQL, and they'll work accordingly. They'll work accordingly. Is this clear to every single person in the session? Okay. Now this might feel like something when maza nahi aa raha. We are not getting it. We are not getting the feel. We are not getting the UI wala feel. It's looking bad. It's not looking really great. Correct, people? By the look of it, it's not looking that much happy. Okay. For that, if that doesn't look happy, over here case looks much better. Over here, case looks much better. Let's come to case, people. We used to have switch case in C++ and all that other languages also, right, people? Correct? We used to have switch case and all the other stuff, correct? That is what we are talking about, just the replacement of ifs. Just the replacement of if. Then what will be the syntax of this? The syntax will go like this. Select whatever columns, let's suppose something else. Then you start your case. You start writing your case. No, Aisha, behind the scenes, both of them work very similar. Now, again, Aisha, that question takes me to something else also. In SQL, if let's say there are two alternative to things, but I prefer to use this one. If there are no major differences between these alternative, SQL tend to optimize both the things with a similar kind of operation behind the scenes. Let's suppose, just for the analogy purpose, everyone, let's suppose a question can be solved using join and subquery. Let's suppose a question can be solved using join and subquery. Now, for you, it's a join, for you, it's a subquery. But if SQL optimizers have started working so good that if behind the scenes SQL find that, okay, this subquery would rather work better with joins, they would kind of implement it in a similar way. if even if not just converting to joins, in a very similar way. So you will eventually find out if there are two alternatives with no huge difference in maybe working, then they'll eventually have the similar performances with SQL, because now the optimization happens like that. So select name case, then you have, what do you write? When. You write when this is the condition. When this is the condition, people. You can, my SQL code is open source, Mahesh. If you really want to go into it, I pasted one link in the previous class only. My SQL code is open source code. So can, if you really want to go and want to dive deep into it, you'll find the code there. Maybe I'll get the link again. Okay. Then you have to do some output. When condition, then you have to give some output, people. Understood? Otherwise, when this condition, then you have to give some other output, and so on. You keep on doing that until you have the conditions. And finally, if you want to give, you can give also an else output, and then you do an end statement, and then you do an end statement. Understanding, people? No, brackets are not necessary, Shashmi. No, brackets are not necessary. A similar thing would be happen definitely over here also, Aditya. Like a, a case execution is better, a little bit better. Case execution is little bit better, but again, they have similar, very similar performances behind this, is because SQL tends to optimize them in such a way. SQL tends to optimize them in such a way. Like it would not be final. I cannot just say by like it's absolute rule. It doesn't mean that. It's about how you're writing your if and else is also. How you're writing your if and else is a little bit faster, you can say, but not exactly. You'll not find huge difference. Ha. Yes, Kaval. Yes. Sure. Updated the link. So everybody understands the syntax of case, people? Everybody understands the syntax of case? Yes. Let's kind of run a piece of code just to see that. Meanwhile, I'm getting the code explain cyclomatic complexity to Kancham, people. Kaval and the other person. Let's say this is Ganjam, I'll come to you, okay? So basically, it's about how much decisions you have to make, how many for loops you have to do. It's like the flow of the system. Yes, it's the number of the paths the code can take, number of the decisions. Okay, here to here, here to here, here to here, here to here, like that. If else, the number of different paths you can take. Number of linearly independent paths through a program model, correct? Based on the if else's and the loops also. Based on the if else's and the loops also. So if you have if else's, it leads to more number of diverse paths in comparison to cases. Cases have singular condition, not like if else's, if else, if else, else's. If it's satisfied, then no, then otherwise a different direction. So very in these cases, you'll have very different examples to actually see the differences. Also in this, you'll never even able to find the difference between cyclomatic complexity. Find the differences, put in the Google, give me some examples where you can actually see if working different in switch case. But anyways, let's come to the, can you see the workbench screen, people? Cool. If you carefully see, what we have done is, on the basis of length and the rental rate, we have done something. So if the length of the movie is less than equals to 90 and rental rate is also less, then we can say the movie is short and low rate. If the length is less than 90 but the movie is short but high rate. If the length is this, then the movie is long and low rate. If the movie is this, then the movie is long and high rate. So basically we have given the cases over here. And if we run this, we'll get such a kind of answer. Is the basically it's just about understanding the syntax. Is this clear to every single person in the session? Neil, completely dependent upon your requirements. Completely dependent upon your requirements. Not significant. That's what I'm saying, friend. Behind the scenes, they will be majorly working similarly. If let's suppose even if you want to write corresponding else if else for that, it will be like this. If length less than equals to 90, if this is happening, short and low end rate. But if this is not true, then short and high end rate. If this even note is true, then you will check for this long and low rate and long and high rate. This is the corresponding if analysis for that, and this is the corresponding switch case for that, which is much like soother to see. Which is much soother to see. Can you use this case when for any updates instead of select query? Shashmi, they are for output purposes to reflect the output. They are for output purposes to reflect the output. But let me just check it quickly. Never used it before. Yes, you can use it. You can use it, Shashmi. You can definitely use it. Yes, it's allowed. Let me show you a code for that. In the same way, you can use it. When you're giving the set command, when you're giving update this set, in this set, you can use the case. Shashmi, you can use the case. Yes, yes, you can use the case. Yes, yes, yes. You can use it. So I'll maybe give a syntax for that. I'll add it into your documents. Where is SQL Workbench? This is one of the examples which you can take help from. So simple, update employees, set salary equals to whatever is now we want to set. As Gayatri said, if there is a equal to, on the other side of that we can use the case. On the other side of that we can use the case. Yes. You have the example, use that example to solve that assignment, okay? Whenever such thing happens, Shashmi, because you can, again, I never used it for case update, so I didn't know it. I just Googled it, found the answer and got the answer. So whenever you're stuck with something like that, always be great in Googling. If you're great in Googling, you'll always get the results, Shashmi. You don't have to remember each and everything. You don't even have to remember the syntaxes. Okay, let's go to the final thing out of the four people. Just like we have an alternative for if, the nested if null was also not looking good. The nested was not even looking for good. Can we Google for contest? Sesame better, but in the contest we don't check your case or the this if null skills. In the contest we check for if you can write the queries for that. Better not Google. These are functions for which you can Google, but definitely not for the original queries. Okay. Can we use else if with if also for if you have this, like if this happens then you have to do this, otherwise you do this. They don't have to specifically mention else over there. Tony, it's by default. If you want to do this, otherwise you have to do this. It's not by default, like it's not you have to give the else statement over there. It's by the parameter, the argument. It's by the argument. So that's why they don't ask such questions in the interviews. That's why they'll not ask you about the cases and the if null, because those are more syntax related things. Those are not the things which are testing you conceptually. Those are not the things which they're testing you conceptually, not at all. So that is why these things doesn't get asked too much in the interviews, or not even too much, very rarely. If somebody has some thing going in his mind, they'll ask only then. Otherwise, I don't think nobody expects, even my team doesn't expect me to always remember these things. They're asking the general queries, Aisha. They'll be giving you certain query and they'll be asking you, tell me what index you're going to use over here. They can ask that question. They'll ask you, okay, this is my query. Tell me, if I have to optimize this query using indexes, what indexes you're going to use. So for an example, I give you an inquiry. Select star from users where name is equals to something something. On what column you'll be building the index? On what column you'll be building the index? You'll be building the index on the name column. And as soon as you say, okay, I'll be building the index on the name column, then they'll start asking you counter questions. Okay, what if name and something was there? Then you'll say, okay, I'll build a composite index. Then they'll start asking you the questions like trade-offs. Like, is it good to create composite index or not? What if it gives you time optimization? Are you happy with the space thing which we are taking? Then they'll go deep down how these indexes are implemented behind the scenes. So now complete 30 minutes on indexing. One question started, the extension like that. Okay. And they can, first of all, start with something. They can ask you to write a SQL query. Then they'll ask you to optimize that SQL query using the indexing. And then ask you ki, what indexing it exactly. And what are the trade-offs between indexing in time and space. So started with SQL, ended with something. And in that you actually designed the schema also. Why? Because you took a decision of choosing an index. So basically a single question covered everything of SQL. Understood? Neil, just I was explaining something to sure Neil. I'll do that. I'll just focus on whatever subscripts, whatever subtitles you're getting. I did not write it, let's say, but yeah, understood. Then using indexing, he will jump into hashtag. Wherever he wants to go, fine, you cannot stop him or her, anybody. For example, let's say if I have to use this now, I'll tell you one thing. For example, let's say I have to use this. Most of the times I forget if there is an E over here or E over here. Most of the time. And I have to check, okay, what was O? It was coles. I don't even know the pronunciation. It's my own pronunciation. I call it as coles. Or what is exactly the pronunciation? I don't even know about the pronunciation of that. So it's because it doesn't matter. Because it eventually doesn't matter. Take a coal escape. Maybe coal escape, coal escape, whatever you want to call it. Now, what this function actually does, people? Call s. Call s. Okay. So Kajal has given us call s. Call s. Okay. We call it call s. Anyways, what does this call s do, people? Coalesce, coalesce, coalesce. Okay. Let's leave this, people. What it is called. This is alternated to case for if null, people. Alternative, like what exactly? If let's suppose there are multiple scenarios. If null was nesting things, right, people? If null was nesting things, it was also not looking too good. It was also not looking too good, correct? So what coalesce or coalesce or whatever it is do, let's say call is, you give certain values over here, value 1, value 2, value 3, value 4, value 5, and so on. You give certain values over here. Whatever is the first not null value in the arguments, it will pick that. Let's suppose if this is the first not null, it will just give the answer. If this is null, then it will go and pick this. If this is null, then it will go and pick this. If this is null, then it will go and pick this, like that. Understanding? So it picks the first not null value, everyone. It picks the first not null value in the order of the parameters. Picks first not null argument, you can say. That's it. Random based, no, like from left to right, Neil, it will go. It will check this. it will check this, it will check this. For an example, in this question, Praveen, for an example, in this question, this was like if null this, then if null this. Rather than writing if null multiple times, I could have written call is b dot batch name, s dot father name, otherwise any. I could have just written this. Rather than writing b dot batch name, then if null, and then this, and providing brackets in like this. So the use case is same. It's just a syntactic sugar on top of that. The use case is same. It's just a syntactic sugar on top of that. That's it. Understood? So these all are basically syntactic sugars, you can say. This all, the case is a syntactic sugar over if. The qualys is a syntactic sugar over if null. So these are just syntactic sugars, which makes your code looks better. Which makes your code looks better. So everybody understood all the four things. If you really want to go how these functions internally work, go and Google it. If you really want to know what if this parameter is changed to this, go and Google it, the parameter. But these are the use cases. If you really have to output the scenario, you can output the scenario. And there are numerous functions like that, people. These are four functions. There are concatenate. There is a group concatenate functions. There are a lot of functions which you can use SQL to get your output result in a better way, to look towards your data in a better way, people. And most of the times, these things are used by data analytics people who have to write SQL queries for the analytics of data. Most of the times, those are the people who are doing this. Because in the development scenario, we do such things on the application level. On the development scenario, we can do such calls and do such things on the application level. We can get the result, and then on the application level, we can send the result. Popular, yes, Gangadhar, popular. So on the development things, we can do these things on the application level. We can do these things on this particular level also. But basically, data analytics people use it a lot to write SQL queries, which can be easily readable by the people who are not so comfortable with the SQL. If you would have been in the, let's say, DSML, data science machine learning module, you would be learning a lot of other functions also when we'll be teaching SQL, because there it is important. Okay. Anyways, why can't we update two table columns in joins in same query? In joins, Mahesh, you have created an intermediary table. In joins, you have intermediary table. I'm not sure about that, Shambhu. No, I don't think you can get access to that now. Mahesh, let's discuss it towards the end again. Okay. So let's come to the next topic now, everyone, which we did not discuss in the subqueries. Views. So what is a view generally? What is a view generally, people? Nazara. Correct, Fahim? Temporary table, or something which is just there to see. Correct, people? Something which is just there to see or make your look easier, kind of read-only kind of data. You can say that. Correct. Have we gone through subqueries, people? Have we gone through subqueries, or let's suppose not even subqueries? Let's say scalar itself has hundreds of tables, people. Scalar has hundreds of tables, everyone, in our database. Not something like that, but similar, Praveen. Similar. Let's say scalar has hundreds of tables, people. Similar, Praveen. Similar. Scalar has hundreds of tables, and if I want to get this result, people, let's suppose if I want to get date of a particular lecture, name of a particular lecture, and let's say which batches were involved in that particular lecture, who was the instructor of that particular lecture, what was the module name in which for which the lecture was taken, let's suppose, everyone, what was the rating of the lecture, what is the session link of the lecture, what is the session link of the lecture. If you carefully see, everyone, can I say this can be a requirement query for us? For a particular session, I might want to see the name, the batch name, the instructor, the module name, the rating, and the session. We have a query like this, which is very useful in Scalar, where we want to see multiple, where we want to see all of the sessions, their instructors, their batches involved, their ratings. And this behind the scenes uses 8 to 9 tables to finally produce the result, and after using joins. This query behind the scenes uses 8 to 9 things, 8 to 9 tables. It merges, it joins 8 to 9 tables, and then it produces such a kind of query, people. And then it produces such a kind of data. Understood? And this might go very extensive. Apart from that, let's say rating, I might want also the link to the feedback form. Let's suppose I might want for a session, what can we do? I might want how many assignment counts are there, how many homework counts are there in that particular lecture, 2 more tables. And this can keep on extending. But why this data would be required? This data might be required for the analysis purposes. Why this data might be required for the analysis purposes. Understood? So basically, it will be a huge query to write. Correct, people? Yes or no? Basically, it will be a huge query to write. And let's suppose everyone, this query is being required in multiple places by multiple teams in different forms. Maybe there is a team which is majorly focusing on the average rating, like that. Then what will they'll do is, on top of this query, they'll write something like, for example, select average of rating from, let's suppose, let's call this as query as big query. And you'll write this big query over here and something over on top of that. Some team might be using it for average rating. Some team might be using it for total assignment and homework in the given lectures. Some team might be using it for what are the unique batch names in all of the lectures. Some team might be using for the unique instructor name for it. So actually that happens in Scalar. There might be multiple teams who would be working on the same big query. And in that case, everyone, all of them have to write this separately, correct? All of them again and again have to copy this separate query and put it over here, people, right? Let's suppose everyone, in Scalar, the same large query is being used 1,000 times. Let's say in Scalar, the same large query is being 1,000 times in different form. It's used as a subquery. The same query is used as a subquery 1,000 times, people. Understood? Now, what can go wrong, or what is a cone over here? If I'm using this, what's the disadvantage of using it as a subquery again and again everywhere? What is the disadvantage? What is the disadvantage of us using it as again as a subquery, people, again and again at 1,000 different places? Performance is not the issue. We are running the same query everywhere. Performance is not it's not about 1,000 certain queries. It's not about performance. Leave that. Large queries required, people. I'm not saying all of them will be running at the same time. I'm not saying that. I'm saying 1,000 people are using that query everywhere in different manners. In different manners, 1,000 people are using that particular thing. The issue is not with the performances, people. Let's suppose we are allowing you to do repetitive there. Tell me one thing, everyone. If a small thing has to be changed, people, can I say I have to go to every 1,000 of the places where the query is being used and change it? Yes or no? Correct. In the case of change, I have to talk to all the 1,000 people who are using that query as a subquery. It's not like we have written a query and they're using it directly. No, they're using it as a subquery. So I will go to those 1,000 people and say, hey, can you please make a change? There is a change happened. Now rating is not calculated like that. Rating is calculated like this. Can you make the change in your query? So they will have to go and make the change in all the 1,000 places, everyone. Yes or no? Yes or no? Let's come back to data structure algorithm or normal coding, everyone. When we had to do the same process again and again, what was the scenario? What was the thing which we used to use? Correct, Fahim, correct. What was the thing which we used to do, people? If a same, exactly, a separate method used to be written, a separate function we used to write, correct people? We used to define functions. We used to define functions, people. Yes or no? In the, if you remember the algorithm part, everyone, if some certain thing has to be repeated again and again, we used to define functions, and then anybody can use that function, right, people? And if I have to go change, I have to just go and change that function. I don't have to change everywhere it is written, correct? I don't have to go and change everywhere it is written, correct, people? Yes or no? Easy to maintain, absolutely right. Functions were easy to maintain. In the same way, we have views, everyone. In the same way, we have views. These are not tables, no. These are just written queries at some place, which can be used whenever you want to use. Which can be used wherever the data is not, the data is within the table now. It's not like that we have run the query and we have get the data. No. Kaval, when you learn, when you watch the recording about procedures or table valued function, first of all, and because everybody doesn't know about it as of today, when you watch those recording, you will understand the difference. What is the exact difference between the procedures and the these kind of functions? These are just basically queries. Procedures are something different, a little bit different. How do I explain before without explaining the procedures? Hmm. Maybe I'll try to explain it. Let me think of it. But before that, let me show what view is. Maybe that will make clear what is the difference between a view and a. There's no perform. No, we are not focusing performance differences over here. You'll get the recording by today or by next week early, Aisha. But I'll try to make sure that you're getting the recording by today. Let's go to the workbench, people. Sorry, I have to share that. Is the workbench visible? Okay, let's suppose I've written a query, a large query for that matter, not that large, but let's suppose for an example. Let's say I have written this query, everyone. What I'm doing, I'm joining the film actor table, I'm joining the actor table, and I'm joining the language table. And this kind of produces what result? This produces a result where we are getting for every film, we are getting what release year was there, what was the person who kind of acted in the film, what was the language. So basically, all the information associated to a film we are getting. A lot of information associated to a film we are getting. And let's say we are using this query again and again now. Let's say we are using this query again and again now. Okay, so we'll be using this query, let's suppose, to figure out all the movies or count of movies where a certain actor performed. Let's suppose we are finding how many movies were there where Christian Gable was the actor. So we'll use this subquery, people, and using this subquery we'll be able to get the result. And in the similar way, we are using this subquery again and again for different purposes. Let's suppose a lot of places we are using this subquery for different purposes. Understanding, people? Understanding? Now, what do you want is we want this subquery to be written somewhere so that if I want to use it again, I don't have to write this subquery completely. Rather, I just have to write a name and we can eventually get a subquery over there. Rather, we want to write a name and we can eventually get a subquery over there, people. So how can I write it as? I can write it as this. So create view. We need to create a view. We need to give the name of the view. So create view. We need to give the name of the view, and then we want to tell, okay, what exactly we want to put. So create view BigQuery as this particular query. So as soon as I run, let's run this particular thing. As soon as I run this particular command, everyone, see the left hand side. In the views section, everyone, can you see a BigQuery view right now? Can you see a BigQuery view right now? No. You cannot see BigQuery view right now. Correct, people? Why? What do you think? What's the reason? Very simple reason. Can you see the notes, people? Sorry, you were on the workbench, right? Let's come to workbench. Can you all see the workbench, people? My laptop got crashed. I don't know why. Okay, anyways, can you see the workbench? Okay, where I was exactly. We executed this, right? Let's refresh. Yeah, after refreshing, you can see there is a big query view over here, right, people? After refreshing, can you see there is a big query view on the left hand side? Yes. Hope this happens a lot of times. Okay. So now we can use this just in the place of that, people. Just in the place of that. Previously, what we were using, when had to use the subquery, we had to write the complete subquery. Now we don't need to do that. Now we don't need to do that. What we can do, we can just replace it with the name of the view. So again, select count star from BigQuery, where BigQuery first name this and this. So basically, it started acting like a table itself because select query was giving you a table in return. Correct, people? Because select query was basically giving you a table in return. So it started acting like a table, but it's not a table. The data is not stored as the table. It's just an already written existing query which you're able to use it over here. It's just an already written select query, everyone, which you're able to use it over here. That's it straight away. Now, if anybody wants to use, they can all go and use the big query, everyone. And if anybody wants to change, they just have to go to one single place to change the thing. Understood? Correct. Basically, it will kind of copy paste the code just like a function, Aisha. Wherever we need the big query, it basically behind the scenes uses the subquery simple. That's it. What if any updates happen? This is going to run for one time, Dinesh. If updates happen, update will be reflected. It will present you the data as the data is available in the tables, Dinesh. It's just a select query. It's just like a placeholder, Dinesh. It's nothing like, for an example, Dinesh, try to compare this and this. This was a huge query. Now, instead of writing this particular thing, I kind of put it into a different file. And whenever you need, that thing is loaded from a particular file and put it over here. Now, coming to what procedure and Kaval, what procedure and view has a difference. Procedures can also do an update operation. They're actually like functions. We're thinking it like a function, but procedures are actually like functions. They can take the parameter in, they can do whatever sequence of operations you want to perform. But this is not what a view can do. This is not what a view is, just for readability. Just if you want to see again and again. That's it. If you just want to run a particular query, just want to see the data again and again, it's just like that. You can update in a view, but that is never suggested, people. Even though they allow you to update something in view, never suggested. There are too many constraints to update things. But again, it's never suggested. Never suggested to do that, people. Never do that. So even if you're allowed to, even if you're allowed to do that, never update your views, everyone. You will be able to. If you Google it, you will be getting some commands to insert in the view. Okay, but never do that. So updates in view reflect in HL tables. No, do they changes their HL tables? No, they cannot change the HL tables. Like whatever update you want to do, that update is going to be only if, let's suppose, 5 tables are involved, they'll only allow you to change one of the table. So only one of the tables gets changed, Shikha. Yes, but you cannot change all the tables at the same time. Like there are multiple constraints. If you go and read about updating the views, there are multiple constraints in that scenario. Kaval, again, there also Kaval, there also table valued function gives you more than view. View, if let's suppose view is something, table valued function can expect the parameters. which a view cannot. Table valued function can expect a parameter which a view cannot. View just is like a static thing. Table valued function can based on the parameters you're supplying to them. There's a difference over there. You can do more than view over there. And when you go to procedures, you can more than do table valued function in the procedures. That is the sequential level overcover. Your view cannot accept a parameter, but TVF can accept a parameter. And there are other differences also. So in the leave the performance issues separately cover. In the execution itself, in the utility itself, there are differences cover. In the utility itself, there are differences. Will the view will be refreshed for every inserted joins table? What do you mean be refreshed, Rakesh? I'm unmuting you. What do you mean be refreshed? It's a query which gets executed whenever you call it. It's a query which gets executed whenever you call it. Simple, nothing else. Nothing else. It's a select query which gets executed when you call it. That's it. It's a placeholder, you can say, Rakesh. Again and again, writing the huge query, you use it as a placeholder, Rakesh. That's it. Nothing else. Reusable query, correct, Rishabh. Correct. It's like a reusable query. Understanding, Rakesh?
Can you hear me, Mohit?
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, Rakesh.
Yeah, so meaning we have used some tables for the joining, creating a view, right? So
Correct.
if I suppose inserted some data in film or film actor,
Hmm.
so for the new data, will it be reflected in the view?
It's a query. What do you think? If I run that query, will it be reflected? It's a query. If you change something and then you run a query, will the answer be reflected? What do you think?
Yes, it will be. So
Ah,
in order to update the view, again, do we need to separately invoke that function or like automatically updates?
view is not something which is running all the time. No, it's just a query written. Like, try to understand this. You wrote a huge query over there,
Yes, okay.
correct? Let somebody
Yes.
say, let's there is another person. This is person number one. Let's say there was person number two who was also using the same query, but let's say for Mohit Sharma specifically. Okay. Now let's
Okay.
say there was a person number three who was also using the same query, but let's say for Mahesh, or let's say for Rishabh. Okay. Now
Okay.
these three people are using the all the queries. Now let's suppose something changed. Let's suppose something changed, and this first name is now being referred as not first name. Let's say first names. This column name got changed in the table. Okay.
Okay.
Now what I have to do? I have to go and tell all the three people, hey, change this column to first names, change this column to first names, change this column to first names. Do you agree?
Yes, correct.
Agree. Rather than doing
Yes.
that, what I have done, I have taken this. I'm not doing this now. What I have done is I have taken this select query out from here. I've taken this select query out from here. I've copied it from here, and I've put it into a separate file.
Okay.
I've put it into a separate file. Let's suppose BigQuery. Okay. Now, whoever wants to use it, they can refer it as BigQuery, and this thing will be kind of copy pasted from here to here. Now, whatever will happen is this is a single file. If let's suppose tomorrow column name changed, I'll go to first names. Now, those people doesn't even care what is changing over here. They're using it directly without even knowing what is happening behind the scenes over here. What is written in front over here.
Okay.
It's just a query. It's just executing like a normal query, Rakesh, nothing else. It's
Okay.
just something rather than writing it again and again. Rakesh, you used to write functions.
Yes, yes.
So in functions, what you used to do? Let's suppose I had to do, okay, you are using a print function, right? In most of the language, which language do you use?
Java system.
You have a printf function, right?
Yeah, correct.
Why there is a printf function available to you? Because printf is just not a simple task. It requires 5 to 6 commands internally. Okay.
Okay. Correct. Yeah.
Now, to print every statement, if you're writing those 5 to 6 commands, won't your code become huge?
Yes, correct. So we will use this for loop.
What did you do? You replaced it with a function.
Yeah,
Correct?
correct.
Now you just have to call this function. And if anything has to be changed in the function, if you use those 5, 6 lines, every instance of those 5, 6 lines have to be updated. But
Yes,
now you
yes.
just need to go and you don't even care what is internally, right? In the same way, multiple people are going to use this. Now, if something changes, I have to go and change it at every place rather than I put it in a single file and I'm using that file name directly. It's like that. Now
Okay.
you understand it. It's just a query which gets executed. Simple.
Okay.
Does it improve the performance? No, Dinesh. It doesn't improve the performance. It improves the readability and the execution of things, Dinesh. Yes, Gansham. Views can be modified as required. For an example, if you really want to update this view, let's say anything changed. And if you want to update this view, you can use a command like create or replace view. Let's say I want to change this view. I want to change this BigQuery view. So I can use a command create or replace view. I can use this command. Now, if the view doesn't exist, it will create the view. If the view exists, it will replace it with this query. Okay, yes, Aditya, like that. Rakesh, is it clear?
Yes, Mohit, it's clear.
Okay. So yes, you can go and update your view with this thing. Yes, you can go and update your view with this thing. If anything gets changed, you have to update your view. Absolutely. If anything gets changed, you have to update your view, people. Absolutely. So views are nothing but already written queries which can be invoked again and again whenever you want. They will give you a temporary sort of result. No, Ghanshyam. Shambhu, that comes with a use case. For an example, in Scalar, in the instructor team itself, there was a requirement. We needed to create a dashboard where instructor for a particular batch can see the PSP, the total number of students, the number of classes happened, all of the details for a particular batch. So there was a supposed to be, and on top of that, we needed to do some of our own metrics calculation. So what the tech team did for us, they created models for us. In Metabase, it's called models. They created models for us. So at a particular place, we get all the data in front of us. Now we don't care what is written inside it. We don't care. Whatever applications we want to do, we do it over on top of that particular query, Sham. Whatever executions we have to do, we do it that on top of that particular query, Sham. Okay, so it's based on requirement, Shambhu. You cannot initially know. It's based on requirement. And again, it's more used in data analytics more than the internal purposes. Or if let's suppose your multiple files are using the same query again and again, you can create a view and you can use that view again and again. Understood, Shambhu? Like, I'm not sure if I'll able to show you. Just give me a second. My laptop is hanging a bit. Give me 1 minute if I can show you. Hmm. Let me show you something. नहीं नहीं वो सबको दिखाने के लिए just to show you something. Can you see a tab of Metabase? Yes. So for example, what the tech team did for the instructor team was, if I create a question, you have models over it like views. So in the models, if let's suppose I select the, let's say any model, let's suppose learner model, let's suppose. If I select the learner model, that doesn't bring the data from only the learner table. No. If I see its query people, and if you carefully see, there are a lot of joins available on other different batches. Because when you see the data, you will see that I cannot show you the query. You'll see that here you are getting the learner email, learner name, learner status, learner's cohort, learner's PSP, learner's total number of problems solved, and everything. So you are seeing a lot of things everywhere. You are seeing a lot of things together that doesn't come from one single table. That doesn't come from one single table. That comes from one. Now I'm able to use it again and again without writing the whole query. Without writing the whole query, I'm able to use those things again and again. Okay, correct. Chalo. Or now we'll take a break, everyone, and after the break, we'll discuss more about window functions, everyone. So take a break till 8:34, 10 minutes of break. Then we'll have around 20-25 minutes discussion on window functions paper. Okay, check. Everybody back? Cool. Let's see. Let's do a small section on window functions also, everyone. Okay. Let's start with the usage. What can you see, everyone? iPad or Workbench? iPad. Let's come to the Workbench. I'll be writing some queries. Let me know if that query will work or not. Okay. So before that, I'll show you the employees table. There is an employee table available which I have created. So there's an employee table in which ID is there, department is there, salary is there. Okay. There is an employee table where ID is there, department is there, and salary is there. I'll show you the employee table completely as well. Select start from employee. This is your employee table. So there are three departments basically: HR, finance, and IT. There are three departments basically: HR, finance, and IT. Now, tell me what will happen if I do this. Select select ID. Let's say select department. Then let's say select average salary from employee table. What will happen if I execute this particular query, people? What do you think what will happen? Give me a reason. If you are saying not execute, give me a reason why it would give an error. Because right now it's not showing any error, people. It's not showing any error. For each row, average salary. Average is just an aggregate. Correct. To use an aggregate, let's try to run this. To use an aggregate, you need a group by people. You need to put something on group by and then take the average people. To use something, you need a group by. Does everyone agrees to this particular thing? Yes. So let's use a group by. Now, again, I'll be expecting you to tell me what will be the output. Okay. Let's say group by ID people. What will happen if I group by ID? How the data will be represented? Neil, we'll talk about that. First of all, let's suppose I group by ID. What will happen? For each ID, it will give average. Basically, which is nothing but directly salary, right? Which is nothing but directly salary. Correct, people? So let's run it. It will not give an error. Why it would give an error? So if you carefully see, ID, department, and average salary of every ID. Let's also show the salary just so that you can see it. Check it. If you carefully see, the salary and the average salary of the IDs are same, which should be. If we are grouping by IDs, then ID is a single thing. So the salary and the average salary should be same. Correct, people? Correct, people? Yes or no? Everybody agrees to this? Everybody understand it? Check it. Now let's suppose I change it a bit and I say group by department. Then what would happen, people? If I run this query, what do you think what will be happening? Nandesh, let me unmute you and repeat it for you. Now average by department. So average value will be different, correct, people?
Okay, okay. Here, Mohit ID will be unique, right? So,
Yeah. So ID will
yeah.
be unique. If you group, then it will be a single group. Now for single group, there is no
Yeah,
average.
yeah, correct, correct, correct. Yeah,
Got it?
yeah.
Check. So now you are saying everyone, it will be giving the result according to the department. It will be grouping according to the department, right, people? Agree? Yes or no? Average department will be received. Let's try to run this. Oh, it is giving me an error, people. What error is giving? Expression 1 of select list is not in group by close. In group by, we learn, people, if you're giving a group by over here, only on that particular column you can apply the select statement or something which is associated to that. Yes or no, which is written and contains non-aggregated columns also, which is employee ID, which is not functionally dependent on the columns in the which is not functionally dependent on the columns in the group by close, people. This is incompatible. Think logically also, people. Why not it happened with ID? Because the department is based on the ID. When ID is grouping department, we are able to put it down easily, Mahesh. For a particular ID group, department is not changing. For a particular ID group, department is not changing. So SQL was able to execute it. But when we say for a particular department, there are multiple IDs. Which ID to reflect? Which ID to reflect? For a particular ID, department was unique. So SQL was able to execute it because group by was ID. But for a particular, when you want to group by departments, IDs are different over there. How can you represent one? The result should be, if I remove ID from here, let's see. If I remove ID from here, then also it will not work. Let's remove the salary also. Now if you see, now it is able to, for every department, it is able to give the average salary, correct? For every department, it is able to give the average salary. But for a particular department, there is not a single ID. So how it would be able to represent the average? So that is why we cannot do that. But let's suppose my requirement is, people, my requirement is like that. I want the ID, I want the department, I want the salary of that person, and in front of that, I want the average salary of the department that person is in. I want ID of the person, I want the department name of the person, I want the salary of the person, and then I want the average salary of the department the person is in. So now can you do the group by on department and still get the ID, people? You cannot, right? You cannot, right? Then we use group by department comma ID. No, Rishabh, you cannot do that. If you do group by department comma ID, let's do that. Then you are changing something on which there will be individual groups which will be formed. Again, it will not give you the salary which you're expecting. It will again start giving the salary of the person itself. See, this person is in HR department, average salary is 5 lakh. This person is HR department, average salary is 55,000. How is it possible? How is it possible? Understood? Why it doesn't work by department salary, group by department? Aisha, I'm unmuting you. Hey Aisha, if you're there. Aisha, are you there?
You can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. So why it doesn't work if there are different salaries in a particular department and we are grouping by department, right? So why it doesn't work?
Can you see the iPad screen?
Yes.
So what will happen? When we are doing group by department, so what it will do? The internally it will group every row which has the same department, right?
Yeah.
So they have grouped them together using the department. But can they have different IDs, these rules?
Oh yes. Yeah.
They can have. So
Yeah.
how for a single group I can reflect only one ID?
Oh,
I cannot, right?
yes.
Understanding this. So that's why they are saying, hey, I cannot do that. But now my result or now my use case is for every row, I want the ID of the person, I want the department of the person, I want the salary of that person only, and
Yes.
then I want the average salary of the department that person works in.
Yes.
If you apply group by, the group by will be applied on all the rows, not on certain condition, right?
Yes. Yes.
But if we want to do something, people over here, thank you, Aisha, I'm muting you. You understood, right? Why it's not working?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Now, if you want to apply the grouping only on the department in which this ID is, then we get the window function. So basically, we are generating the windows people. I want to generate the window for only this row on the basis of department. So that window will be generated, the data will be calculated and put it over here. So along with the aggregate functions, we also want to get the columns row by row details. So if I do this over here, see, you'll see the difference in the output people, and then you'll understand. If I just take this, and if I do ID department, let's say salary also, let's put it average salary of the person. Let's remove the group by, and we do average salary over, let's say partition by. I'll explain you what I'm doing. Just give me a moment. Department, let's say as average department salary. If you carefully see the result now, people, see the result. ID 6, department finance, salary of that person is 6, average department salary is 60,000. ID 7, department is finance, salary of that person is 62,000, but the average salary of finance department is this. ID is this, department is this, salary of that person is this, but the average salary of department. So for that particular row, on the basis of department, a group was formed in the complete table and the data was result. Oh, sorry. Now can you see the screen, people? So first of all, I've written some query. I've said ID department salary, average salary, partition by department as average department salary. Now, if you see the result, for every person, we are getting the department of that person, we are getting the salary of that person, and then we are getting the average department salary of that person. अरे पहले data understand करो शंभू. I'll be coming to that. First of all, understand the data what is coming. Okay, I'll come to that. The data is for every row we have created separate groups now. It's not for the table we have not created the groups. No, for every row we have created separate groups now, people. So ID, the department in which the person works, the salary the person gets, and the average salary of the department that person works in. So based, I have not grouped by the department. I have grouped by the department only for that particular row, people. Only for that particular row. So you can say yes, aggregation per row. We have created the window only for that particular row. So how did I do that? I did that using average salary. I need to get what? I need to get average salary. Over is a command which tells you over what data you want to calculate the average salary. I want to calculate the average salary over partition by department, over the department of that particular row. You should make the group on the basis of the department of that particular row, and then you should calculate the average salary on top of that, people. Yes, window is made on the department column. Window is made on the department column because I've mentioned partition by department. So try to imagine this. I want to calculate the average salary. Okay, understood. If you want to calculate the average salary, you have to give me a group. Understood? I want to calculate the average salary. It's an aggregate function, so you have to give me a group. Over what? Over what data you want to calculate the average salary? I want to calculate the data of average salary based on the department. Partition by department means based on the department, people. Based on the department of what? Based on the department of this particular row. Based on the department. So please partition the data based on the department. I just showed you, Praveen. Group by department will give you only single department values. It will not give you for every row the department. It will not group by for every row according to the department. It will just show you three departments. That's it. Nothing else. It will not group by along with the row data. It will not give you that. Kaval, I have unmuting you. Kaval, first of all, do you understand the data? What data is coming out to be?
Yes, I'm able to
Just
understand the data.
can you
Yeah.
do this group by using group by?
No, I understood why, but I can't understand this partition by.
No, forget about the syntax I have written. Forget about the syntax.
Mhm.
Do you understand the data first of all?
Yes,
What we are doing in the data, basically for every row, on the basis of the department of that row, we are grouping the complete table and finding the average, right?
correct.
Do you understand this?
Yes,
Now it is written for every row I want the ID, I want the department, I want the salary, I want the average salary. Now average will ask you a question. Hey, give me some aggregated data on which you want to perform the average, right?
right.
So I am saying you should perform the average over partition by department. Like on the basis of department, please create the windows of the complete table. Please create the groups
Okay,
on the basis of departments. Please create the groups. Okay. Now what will it do? It will create the group on the basis of department. So it has
correct.
created the group on the basis of finance, HR, and IT. But for this particular row, what is the department?
Finance.
Finance. So it will only give you in this particular row the result of that particular department. Previously, what was happening, Kamal, when we were doing, let's say, first of all, when I group by department, I cannot write ID in the section, right? I cannot
Correct.
write ID in the select command, correct?
Right.
So that means for every student, I cannot get its average department salary. Do you agree? If I
Yes,
want to get for every employee, I cannot get its average department salary. I can get the department salary based on the departments. I can
correct.
do this. But
Correct.
for every employee, I cannot calculate, right?
Right.
So I'll get separate grouping. So imagine what is happening. Now this grouping is being done for every row over here. That is what is happening. For every row, the data is being grouped. Partition means the data is being grouped by department, and whatever department is in that for thing, for that average salary is being written. Understanding now. Previously, the group
So,
by was grouping the complete table. Now also it is grouping the complete table, but it will give the data corresponding to a particular row. Understood?
so basically, does it mean that it's the partition by sort of extension of group by in a way that
You can say that behind the scenes. You can say that it's working like same row. Previously, it was grouping by for the same for the complete table. Now it is grouping by for every single row. That is the difference.
okay, sort of a join or something internally?
Still, a group by won't say join. Group by.
Okay. What I mean is group by like doing a group by like the result we should see here, doing a join with each row, something like that.
It's not a table. You cannot. You are not joining multiple tables. Why you are bringing join over here, Kamal? It's not a table. Uh,
Okay.
Again, you were doing this for the complete table. You are
Yes.
doing this for the complete
Yes.
table.
Yes.
Now imagine this thing is being replaced over here. Now imagine this thing is being replaced over here. For an example, this thing is coming over here. Okay. So we are grouping by for every row, and for that row, whatever is the department, I'm giving that particular result. Like a subquery, you can say. So
Okay.
previously the group by was working on the complete table. Now group by is working for every single row separately.
I see.
Understanding, Pavel?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, sure.
Why group by is not working here?
Okay, then I need to first of all teach you group by. Give me 1 minute. How does group by work? What does group by do, Shambhu?
It will group based on a particular column.
Correct? Do you agree? It will
Yeah.
group all the data together on that particular column, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I write an ID over here, you are grouping based on the department, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. A department can have multiple
So
IDs.
this will not work because the select query ID you are keeping. So in group by you should keep ID.
Again, you don't go with the convention. Understand why it is not working. Understand logically why it is not working. For every department, there can be multiple IDs, right?
Yeah.
So for a single department, I cannot represent a single ID, right?
For a single department, you cannot represent. It will be different IDs will be there.
Correct. But grouping is done on the department. So all of those rows were grouped together. They were merged together. So can I give us ID over here? Can I
But
give an ID?
keep like group by department comma ID, then still it works. This at least
That
this
will group.
query
No,
works.
no. That will group by the pair of that. See the difference yourself. This
Okay.
query will work, but it will not produce the result we want to produce.
Okay, I got it. Department ID means it will consider ID only because ID will be unique.
Correct. It is not producing for HR. I'm not getting the average salary of the
Unique
HR.
pairs ID it will consider and then it will group. So it will give based on ID itself.
Correct. I want to group by department only. That is the point. But for every row I want to separately group by.
So when you give partition by department, so does it creates a temporary table based on this department, like
Forget
temporary?
about what's happening behind the scenes. Understand what is returning the result. Forget about what is doing behind the scenes. Forget
Okay.
about it.
And this
Leave that.
partition by, can we have multiple columns?
First of all, you are extending your question? Do you understand this or not? Leave the
Yeah.
extensions. Do you understand this query or not? First of all,
Yeah. So
you
one more
understood this?
question to add this one. This one you have used average salary over partition by department. Can we use any sub query kind of thing over here?
No.
It won't work.
Over where? Exactly over where you want to use subquery.
Instead of average salary over partition by department as average department salary. Okay, but subquery will also not work because
That's a
will not
subquery
work.
topic then. Even if you use a subquery there, that's a subquery topic. I'm teaching you Windows function.
Okay.
Okay, that's a subquery topic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm teaching you Windows function, how for every row you can do the group by. Now you're not doing the group by for the complete table. You're doing the group by for every single row. You're grouping the table and then producing the result.
Okay.
Understood?
Okay.
Everybody getting this? What exactly is happening over here, people? Everybody understands? Okay. Now, what if I do this, people? Try to think what will happen if I do this. If I remove this partition, I'll not show you the result. What will happen if I remove this partition statement? Logically think about it. Just give me 1 second, Praveen. Correct. Let's see the result. What it has done, people, since I did not give a partition, it calculated the average of everything, isn't it, people? Since I did not give a partition, it calculated the average of everything and resulted into that particular thing. So now you're able to compare the salary of everybody with the average of the complete salary in the table. Now you're able to compare the salary of every person with the average salary of everybody in the table. Overall, yes. Because you have not partitioned on anything. Because you have not partitioned on anything, so basically it clubbed everything together and gave you the average salary of that. Basically, it clubbed everything together and gave you the average salary for that particular thing. So it is the average salary of the complete student. This is the salary of the person. Understanding this, everyone, what is happening exactly happening over this statement. So what it is doing is it is going to a row. It is going to a row by row. It is working. It is going to a row. For that row, Mahesh, I'll unmute you. Okay, it would be better understanding with the conversation. Let's try to understand what you did not get over here. What it is doing, people, it is going to every row. For that particular row, it is performing a separate group by bringing the data and putting it over there. Yes, Mahesh, what did you not understand?
Yeah, Mohit, means I'm not getting that. After over means it is.
In the over, we write on the basis of what we want to group. Okay, got it?
No.
In the over statement, we write what is on the basis of we want to group the things.
Yes. Yes.
Previously, we wrote it partition by department.
Department.
So we wanted to group the data according to the department, and whatever department is present over here, we wanted to give the value for that particular department to this row.
Yes. Right.
Okay. When I say this, that means I don't want to group them on any condition, right?
Yes. Right.
We don't want to group them on any condition. So that means all of them will come into a single.
Yeah.
Correct. So it will do what? It will calculate the average salary of the complete table. And it will put that value in front of every ID of the banda,
Okay.
department salary of the banda, and the average salary of the complete employees, all the employees.
Complete
Understood?
table means for every column or
For every row, salary तो एक ही
every
column
row.
है ना, for every row.
अच्छा, okay. Okay.
This 61,000 is the average salary of all the employees in total. All the 15 employees का average salary है ये. So since I have not mentioned any group by, it picked all the rows and calculated the average salary. Let me show you. $61,000. Correct?
Okay.
It's the average salary of the company because I did not mention any group by. So what will happen? It will go to the row and I will ask you what is the average salary if you partition over nothing. So if I'm not grouping by nothing, it will calculate the average salary of the complete data. Understood?
Okay. Yeah, understood.
Now clear?
Yes. Yes.
So when we were doing this, let's suppose when we are doing partition by department. Now what it will do, Mahesh, for every row, it will partition by the department. It will divide the complete table on the basis of department. And for the department of this particular row, it will give the average salary.
Yes.
Understood?
Yes, I got.
So for the department of this, it gave you the average salary. Clear?
You're right.
Check. Everybody first of all, everyone try to understand what data we are going to bring. When you understand the data, when you understand the result, then you'll be able to understand how we are getting that. Understood? When you'll get the result, when you understand the result, that for every banda, for every employee, we're comparing its salary with the average salary of all the employees or average salary of all the departments. Like I can do this also, people. Let me show you one more thing. Now what has happened, people? Carefully see. For every employee, we know the department, we know the salary of the person, we know the average salary in its department, and we know the average salary overall, people. Can you, first of all, interpret the data, people? First of all, interpret the data. Correct, Dinesh, correct. Interpret the data, people, first of all. You can zoom in on your own skin. I cannot increase the result. So ID, the department, the salary. This is the row you have. For that particular row, I calculated the average department salary and the average salary of all the people. Are you understanding this? How come average salary of each department same? How is it different? For HR department, it is 5,51,600. For IT department, it is 71,400. For finance department, it is 60,000. Atharv, the salary is showing the salary of that particular person. Let me show you the table. Let me show you the original table. Salary is showing the salary of every person. And if I run the last query which I have written, if I run this particular query, one is showing average department salary and one is showing the average overall salary. Overall average salary, you can say. When you understand the result, you understand what is exactly happening, people. For a particular row, you group the complete table. For that department, you find the answer. And you group the same table, but not on anything. So you'll get the average salary of all the employees, people. Everybody understanding this or not, please let me know. Yes. Let's suppose I want this. Let's do a use case on Sakila database. Let's first of all try to understand what I want to get. For every film, you have a rental rate. कि भाई उस मूवी का for that movie what was the rate to rent. What I want is for every movie in the year which it was rented, I want to know what is the average rent rate in that year. I already know the film and film's rental rate, correct, people? Let's say I already know select, let's say f dot film ID, f dot title, and f dot rental rate from film. For every film, everyone, and let's say release year also. For every film, I know the film ID, I know the film title, I know the rental rate, and I know the release year. Okay? For every film, I know the release year and I know the rental rate. I want to compare the rental rate of the movie with the average rental rate in that particular year. I want to compare by कि मेरी movie release हुई, my movie got released, my movie was being rented on 10 rupees. I wanted to know with whatever movies which were released in 2006, what was their average rental rate so that I can compare that where exactly I am standing. Understanding the data we want, people. Understanding the data we want. Yes. So we want to do the group by with release year. But if we would do the group by with release year, if let's suppose, I can do that. I can do the group by with release year. Let's do it separately. Let's say select average, let's say f dot rental rate. For a release year, I want to get this information from film f group by release year. If I run this, I get to know that in 2013, my average rental rate was this. In 2006, my average rental rate was this. In 2012, my average rental rate is this. But right now, I'm getting by year. I want to get for every film, tell me. I want to get for every film, tell me. So now I cannot do that. I cannot put the film ID over here, people. Do you agree? I cannot put the film ID over here, people. Do you agree, yes or no? I cannot put the film ID over here. Does everyone agree? Because for a release year, there will be multiple film IDs. So what we'll do is, we'll do it over here itself. We'll do is, we want to calculate average rental rate. We want to calculate average rental rate over what? On the basis of what we want to partition, people? On the basis of what we want to partition? Release year, correct. Not rental year, release year. So we want to partition on the basis of release year over partition by release year. Let's say as average rental that year. Okay, now if I do this, now let's see what has happened. This film came into 2006. The film's rental rate was 4.99, but the average rental rate in that particular year was 2.98. So can I say my film was like a costly film? Can I say my film was like a costly film, people? Yes or no? Because average rental rate was 2.98. I sold my movie at 4.99. So for every row, you're finding a grouped by data, everyone. Are you understanding what window functions are actually doing? They're creating windows for every row now. They're creating groups for every node, not just for the whole table. Does everyone understand this? Yes or no? Please let me know if you understand this. And do you want to see one more thing? Do you want to, by department wise, let's suppose department wise, I want to rank the salaries of the people. Let's say department wise, I want to rank the salaries of the people, everyone. Let's come back to the salary one. Department wise, I want to rank the salary people. For every employee, I want to rank the salary. What query you want to see, Subi? Subi, I'll come to you. Just give me 1 second. You'll get this everything. Don't worry about it. This is the thing. Nandish, I have unmuted you.
Yeah, Mohit. See, here for first row, 2006 is the release year, right?
Hmm.
So how exactly it is picking up 2006 is the year and it is grouping based on that one?
It has the data. Na? For every row, it has the data. It will go. For an example, let us see a pseudocode basically. Maybe you will understand better. So what I'll be doing is, I'll be doing something like स्टॉल क्यों नहीं लग जाता है ये छोटी छोटी बात पे. Just give me 1 second, Nandish, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now what will be happening is, for every row in the table, what we'll do is, can I get from this row, can I get the department of this row? Yes.
Yeah.
Can I get the department of this row? Then what I'll do, I'll go to every other row again. Then I'll go through the table again. For every row 2 in table, whatever this, if let's suppose, if for that row 2, the department is equal to the department of this row, what you'll do, let's say you are summing things up. Let's say there's a sum
Yeah,
variable,
some
equals
of
to
it
0.
will do. Okay.
And there's a count
And
variable also.
count also
What
it
will
will
you do?
take. Okay.
Sum plus equals to row 2's salary.
Hmm.
Okay, and you'll also do count plus plus, correct?
Count. Okay.
After this loop has done for that particular row completely, now to get the average for that department, what will you do?
Sum
divided
by
by
count. Yeah.
Understood?
Okay. Yeah, this looks to be fine.
Now
Yeah.
you have the data for that row. You can print the data for that row, and along with that, you can print the average of that row.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Understood now?
Yeah. Thank you, Mohit.
Everybody getting the idea with this pseudocode? Yes. Check it. Let's try to write one more thing, people. What we were doing? क्या कर रहे थे हम लोग? अच्छा, we were ranking by the thing, na? I hope this works. Should this way, not done rank over. Let's say partition. Let's say partition by department. So descending salary as department rankings. Sorry, order by Kavya. Order by salary descending. ठीक है. First of all, see the output, everyone. Then I'll explain what is happening. First of all, see the output, everyone. No, Aisha. First of all, see the output, everyone. Then I'll explain it. And try to make sense through the output, people. Try to make some sense of the output, people. नहीं ये सेंस नहीं बना रहा था. Yes, for every department what we have done, for every department we have got the rank of that person. That the person with the ID 7 has the first amount of salary 62,000. The person with the ID A9 has a second rank if we compare according to the salary, people. So what did we exactly did was we partitioned by department. So basically we have to only look in that particular department for that particular row. We partition by department. In the department, I ordered by the salary in the descending order. So the highest salary person in the department is on rank 1. The lowest salary partner is the lowest rank. So what did we do? We partition over the department, people, and we descended sorted according to the salary. And the first person got the first rank, people. So are you understanding? For every row, we got the department. In that department, what is the rank of that particular person based on the salary in descending order? Based on the salary in descending order. If we change it to ascending, people, which is by default, so now the rank 1 will be given to this particular person. The rank 1 will be given to this particular person. In the same way, over here we can also do this. Let's suppose we want to rank over partition by release year only. In the release year, we'll need to compare by release year only. But for every release year, we want to order by the rental rate. And in descending order. Just to see that for that particular year, which was the most costliest movie, everyone. So let's say let's say rank by rental. So if you carefully see, everyone, what has happened? Amelie Hellfighters in 2006 has the highest rank rate, people. The average was this, but Emily Hellfighters had the highest rental rate in 2006. That can be done using subquery name. Then you can write this on the top of a subquery and do the work. If you want the top 3 ranks only, Neil, you have to write a subquery on top of this, and then you can make it work. Yes, you can definitely go ahead and do that also. But for that, you'll have to write a subquery on top of that. Then you'll be able to make it work. Like if you want to do, let's see that also. Let's do over here. Let's say, let's copy this. We are doing some experimenting only now. I have not written that, but let's try to write that also. Where was the thing which I wrote? Here, na? Okay, let's try to only find the top 3 people of a particular thing. So from, let's do select star from this as, let's say, table 1. Let's say where table 1 dot department rank is less than equals to 3. I think this should work. Yeah. Now for every department, we have got top 3 people who have least salaries. Let's get this descending only. Now for every department, we have got the top 3 people in their salaries. For every single department, we have got this. So we wrote a query. From that query, we got some data. On the basis of that ranks, we were able to get top 3 ranks in each department. We were able to get top 3 ranks in each department. So this is window function, everyone. This is what window function is. If for every row you want to perform a group by, that is what is window function. Couldn't we do that in the same query? Shambhu, I'll share these queries, don't worry about it. So Kaval, do you want to do that in the same query, not as a subquery, right? I'll have to think about it. If I have to do it in the same query, we have written a query. Maybe yes. Can I just give the where there only? Can I? Let's see. Because we have that column. So yeah, where department rank is less than equals to 3. Correct. We should be able to do this. It's giving an error. Unknown column department rank and where close. Interesting now. Can you tell me the reason for this? I mean, this department, that's what I'm trying to think. Why it's not working? What do you think, people? Why it's not working? Department rank is temporary column. Then what? No, Shishmi, we cannot write limit inside the over. We cannot write the limit inside the over. No. I have given the alias, no? Kaval, I have given the alias. Department rank and I've used the alias. I've used the alias. Having is used with the group by. If you really want to use it, let's use it. But I think having will ask me about the group by. If it works, then interesting. You cannot use the alias department rank of an expression containing a window function in this context. So you are not allowed to use the window function. A possible explanation for this can be, Kaval, a possible explanation for this can be the where clause is executed before the select clause get executed, right? The where clause is executed before the select clause gets executed. So when the where clause was being executed, there was no column as such which existed. You have not even calculated that column at that particular point of time. When you were selecting things at that particular time, that column got calculated. So that's one explanation which can happen. I'm thinking on the flow. I'm not sure. I need to get this out. I need to identify this, but I think that is one of the explanation. Cover that the select executes after the where executes. And since when the where was executing, the table column was not even present, so I cannot put a where clause in that particular thing. Understanding, Kaval? So that's why we'll have to use it as a subquery and then filter out the data. Correct. That's one of the explanation. Chalo, ठीक है. Everybody understanding what window functions are? There are a lot of functions you can use over here. Apart from rank people, there are more functions which you can use over here. Just not rank. Average rank, if you'll go and check out on the Google, everyone, there are a lot of window functions which are available to you. Some average, minimum, maximum, count, average, rank, dense rank, row number also. You can also get the row numbers. So there are a lot of, explore them out, everyone. Explore them out. Very rarely you'll be using those people. Very rarely you'll be using those. Why you don't use them in the applications? Because you perform such kind of things not on the DB, you perform on the application level. Because these are just, can you paste? You'll get the query. Kaval, you'll get the query. I'll give you the query. Okay, just give me 1 second. Let me say what do I want to say. Where I was. Why we generally don't write such a kind of query in the servers, in the actual systems, everyone? Because we do this kind of work on the application level rather than doing it in the DB level, because this will be performance heavy. So rather than doing it on the DB level, we do such kind of work on the application level. Okay, and in the interviews, it's not asked that much. Again, what example I have to think about, Sushmita, on the fly? I've taken 4 examples, Sushmita. I'll have to think more, like what else I can explain you. But among these, if you want anything, I'll be happy to explain out of all of these, because otherwise I'll have to think on the database. What can I take the example of? I've already thought 4 to 5 different kind of things, but what I think over here. Third highest salary by that's something on top of it, Sahita. That rank equals to 1, just put that and you'll be able to get rank equals to 3. You do that and you'll get the answer. That's not something the use case. Third highest salary by using rank, you can say that. We are not covering anything else, Neil, so you can leave. Sushmita, are you not able to understand through these examples what we are doing? Because these are the easiest examples by which you can think of window functions. These are the easiest example by which you can understand window functions, Sushmita. If you're not able to understand these, I'll be able to help. I'll help you understand these. Otherwise, I'll have to think to produce more examples on the same. Okay, for rest of the people, that is it, everyone. That is the end of SQL. You will have a contest on the weekend, people. You'll have a contest on the weekend. Please do the contest. It will contain some SQL queries. Sushmita, I'm unmuting you. And the schema design.
Yeah, hi Mohit. Am I audible?
Yes, Sushmita.
So the example here given is related to the salary, right? So it compares with each row. So the definition part I understood, but still, when a problem statement is given, I'm not able to figure out if the window functions will be applicable here. So that is what I'm finding it little difficult.
If you want to group for every single row, Sushmita, then you use the window functions. If you use a group by, it will group the complete table with those particular things. Like if you are using group by department, it will group by the department and it will give you the different departments result. Okay. Understood?
Yes.
But if
yes,
you want
that part I understood.
For every row, I don't want the average salary of finance, IT, and HR. I want it for every employee in the department it works. I want the average salary. You pick the row, But you have to group multiple rows together to get the average salary of the department that person works in, right?
Okay, so this is the case when a person works in multiple departments.
No, 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 no. A person works in a single department when multiple people works in a department. Sushma, thing in you are working in a company. I want to compare your
Okay.
salary with the department's average salary.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Okay.
want to compare specifically your salary with the department's average salary. Understanding what I am trying to do?
Yes, I understood, but I just want to know that are we excluding our salary and calculating
No,
the
why would
average
I
of other
exclude?
people's?
Why would I exclude everybody in the department?
Hmm.
Average of the
Now,
department
if
will be
so, for example, say for example, it is my salary that I'm going to compare. So I'll exclude my salary and calculate the average of remaining people, and
why?
then
Why?
check
Why
it.
would
Is
you
it
do that? That's a mathematically incorrect thing you're doing, Shushmita. Talking about SQL.
okay?
You're mathematically doing a wrong thing.
Okay.
Okay, mathematically that's not logically true. If you're finding the average department of the salary, you'll have to include your salary in it.
Okay, then. Okay.
Okay,
So it will be just to compare my row with the other people who are working in the department.
correct. For a particular row, if I want to group according to some column in that particular row, then we use it.
Okay.
I would say go home, see the outputs of every of
Mhm.
these queries, and then try to understand what exactly, try to interpret the data. When you understand the data, then you'll understand the need of it. Okay,
Okay. Okay, Mohit. I will once go through the recording again, maybe, and I'll try to go through other articles.
sure, sure, sure.
Thanks, Mohit.
Thank you. You are all in home, Shambhu already? Fine. Akash, okay, Akash, let me unmute you and give you a quick explanation of it. Sure, Subhi, sure. Hey, Akash.
Hi, Mohit.
Yeah. So, what I was saying is, let's suppose a student belongs to multiple batches.
Okay.
Can a student belong to multiple batches? Yes, because of the course poses and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So we also developed a table, separate table for that because the relationship came out to be M is to M, if you remember, right?
Yeah.
So there is a student batches table where there is a student ID, where there is a batch ID, and when there is a date. Cool.
Yeah.
Every batch has exams.
Yes.
Every single batches, every batch is SQL exam, advanced DSA 4 exams, advanced DSA 3 exam. Okay. Got it? Got it, Akash?
Yes. Yes, Mohit.
So for let's say for SQL exam, the ID in the oral structure, the ID is 3. For advanced DSA 4 exam, let's say the ID is 2. So every batch has exams. Now let's find the association. Can a batch has multiple exam?
Yeah. Sure.
And
Why
can
not?
one exam be associated to multiple batches?
Yes.
Yes. So M is to M. Again, another table should be created. So let's say batch
So, are
ID.
you sharing your iPad screen
Oh,
or like it's? Uh,
let me share it. Can you see the iPad screen now?
yes, I'm able to see now.
So every batch can have M exams and every exam can have be associated to M batches, right?
Right.
So we'll have batch ID, exam ID, and date. Date of the exam, okay?
Yeah.
Now every student will have an exam also.
Yes. Correct.
So every student can have multiple exams,
Yes.
and every exam can be associated to multiple student also.
Yes. Correct.
So we'll have a student ID, we have exam ID, and we have the date of the exam, correct?
Yeah.
If there was only one batch, will a student be allowed to give one test multiple times? Forget about the reattempts. Forget about the reattempts. If there was one batch, if a student was a participant of one batch, can he give the SQL exam multiple times? No.
No, only once.
Agree? So
Yes.
according to that, student ID, exam ID can be a proper primary key for us for this table.
Yeah.
Student ID, because every student can give the exam only once, right?
Yeah. Correct.
Student ID, exam ID can be a primary key, correct?
Yeah. Correct.
But let's suppose a student also shift the batch. Agree?
Yes. Agree.
Right now, you're today in this particular batch where SQL exam is going to happen tomorrow. Cool,
Okay.
Akash?
Yeah.
But let's suppose you take a batch shift next on Sunday, and you shift it to a batch where the SQL exam is going to happen next weekend.
Yeah.
Now, won't you be allowed to take it? You will be allowed to take it, right?
Yeah. That's correct.
Correct. Now, so if you'll be allowed to take the SQL exam multiple time, can now this act as a primary key?
No.
No. So for that, either you'll have to include a batch ID column over here. Agree?
Yeah. Agree.
And then you can make it a primary key. Agree?
Yeah. Agree.
Student ID, batch ID, exam ID. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, is your primary key getting more complex?
Yes. Getting complex over here.
It's getting. And was your primary key flexible? No.
No.
It
No.
was not flexible. So it's better in that scenario that we just use a single ID column. Now, even if you add multiple columns in this table, it will not get affected, right?
Yeah. That's correct. Okay.
Understanding the difference where a single column, new column can be helpful rather than the composite columns.
Yeah. Got it.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Mohit.
Thank you, everyone. That is it from my side, people. Thank you very much for coming in today's session and in all the SQL classes. Please do your assignments, homework. I'll see you in the, and then give the contest, people. Okay. Gangadhar, maybe not right away. I'll have to go to office, Gangadhar. Please put down your concern in the WhatsApp, like the actual concerns. Then, as soon as I get time, I'll call you back, Gangadhar. Okay. Yes, Akash. You'll be starting with the low-level design next week. Anything else you're taking? I used to take data structure and algorithms until last month, Shambhu, but I have stopped taking that now. So you can get the recordings if you want of the same batch, number intermediate morning to I think. Okay. फिर एलडी के बाद वापस डीएसए नो काश आई हैव like permanently moved from DSA to SQL and LLD. No, Shavni, it was just a 1 month module. There is no break after this module. If we start giving you break after every module, then the course will be of 1.5 years. You have 5 days break, na? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. You have 4 days break. No, man. I got very used to teaching DSA. It was 3 years, and I wanted to move. Like it was planned before your batch only. Before November, I was supposed to move in January, February, but then took a decision to at least complete your batch and then move to SQL. And that was my personal decision, Mahesh. So it was quite a lot of time since I was teaching DSA and I was getting bored of teaching it. Nothing new, like every single lecture, similar thing, and no new challenge sort of. So like right now, I love teaching SQL a lot. I really loved it. Maza aaya Mahesh, because I was teaching something new now. Not complete LLD method. Not complete LLD, Priyanka. Not complete LLD. LLD 1. Like you can say first 9 to 12 sessions. Understood, Akash? first 9 sessions, Priyanka. Then somebody else will be coming in. Akash, it was a concern raised by your batch only. Like, if you go into the WhatsApp group, you will see there was a concern regarding me taking the LLD. So that's why we took a decision that Ankit Arora most probably will be taking that, and that is finalized. Hmm. ठीक है चलो then everyone, thank you very much. Bye bye, take care, see you soon. For now, Ankit is finalized. Yes, if until and unless there is any other change, I will definitely not be taking. That is for sure. I will definitely not taking your design patterns classes. Like I'll be taking your language classes and the OOTS classes, the initial part of things. Chalo then everyone, thank you very much. Bye bye. Same schedule, Juhi. Until now, we are not changing the schedule. Same schedule will be followed. Bye. Take care, people.